Fellas, how are we doing? So, I hope we are all feeling fantastic right now. I've got another episode for you installed today regarding your health and fitness. And today we are learning how to meal prep like an absolute king. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's not meal prep, that's takeaway. Well, it's just maybe being meal prep or putting meal prep in a takeaway box so that when you open it and you get it out of the fridge, you're thinking you've got a lovely, tasty Chinese takeaway, Indian curry, whatever it is that you like to eat from. And then you remember you meal prepped like a boss and you can fantasize over those really indulgent foods, almost getting aroused whilst you eat a meal prep, but really you're eating your standard chicken broccoli and rice. But we're going to say, and we're going to learn how to make it super interesting and super exciting so that you are always looking forward to meal prep and you stay on track. Okay, so we're in for today is what is meal prep? So how to do it well, common mistakes that I see in the fitness industry, I see with my clients, I've done myself, why it's a game changer for your diet specifically, and what are my top tips. Now, just to talk you through, some of you might be thinking, Tom, what the fuck's meal prep? You know, I thought meal prep was a thing that chefs did for when they were about to prepare for cooking for hundreds and hundreds of people. Well, it's kind of like that, but on a much, much smaller scale. It may be just for you, it may be for you and your partner, it may be for you and your family. But meal prep is essentially cooking your meals in advance so that you get it all done in one block and then you don't have to think about it for at least the next few days. Ta-da! What are you going to do with all that extra time? I know what I do. My forearms are going to get big and I'll leave that up to your imagination. But we're going to go through all of these and make sure that you are absolutely prepped for meal prep by the end of this lesson. So, why meal prep is a fucking game changer. It's huge. It's probably the biggest catalyst I see with my clients when they implement regular meal prep into their routine. And I don't just say that, because I've got some allegiance to meal prep. I myself don't actually meal prep that much because I have a lifestyle where I am quite fortunate that I've got the time to cook. I enjoy my cooking. I enjoy certain things, but I do meal prep for the situation. I do meal prep in advance when I know it's going to be super, super important for me to keep on track. But what does it do? Well, essentially, meal prep saves you a bunch of time. Instead of having to think about cooking a meal every single evening, spending an hour in the kitchen just to make one measly portion of chicken, broccoli, and rice, or insert healthy meal here, it saves you a bunch of time. So you get it all done on, let's say, a Sunday, and no one's doing anything on Sunday. You go to church, you may be, go for a walk in the park, maybe go and play on the swings and wait for all the sexy young mums to bring the children, and you start to chat them up and buy them ice cream, and maybe that's just my Sunday. But Sunday, typically you have loads of time to set aside and cook all your meals at once. The real golden gem here, though, is if you're going to be cooking meals already, you can pretty much do 4, 5, 6 meals in the same amount of time as it would take to cook one. You just got to increase the amount that you're cooking. And especially if you are using things that help you in the kitchen to basically cook them faster, minimal effort. And we'll get into that because I've got a few of my top tips that I would absolutely, recommend to anyone. It saves money. I've just touched on there. You're going to be saving energy. Again, what are you going to save money for? Well, I'm a single man living at home. Those pay-per-view channels do total up over the course of a month, especially when you're pretty well fed and high in testosterone. But that's what I do with my money. What you do with your money is up to you. Anyway, it saves you a bunch of money. Not only that, but you're probably less likely to spend it on takeaways and convenience foods. You're probably less likely to actually waste food as well because you're not just, again, cooking one meal at a time. Every single day, your food gets a little less fresh before you open that pack of strawberries and there's a little white moss growing on it and it doesn't quite taste as good. But we've got to get around that. Anyway, it saves you money. It saves you a bunch of money. That's a given. It massively improves diet consistency and adherence. The biggest challenge that I see to my clients, consistency and adherence to the diet is the fact that they are, having to eat meals out of the house, whether it be at work. Typically Monday to Friday, lunch is eaten at work. If they don't meal prep, they're more likely to then, they have to go to the cafeteria, or more likely to eat off-site, which then, lends itself to someone who's not already great with their diet consistency. The call of the golden arches is going to be rumbling come 12 p.m., 1 p.m. And before you know it, they're head deep in their second Big Mac of the day, and the whole diet's out the window. It reduces cravings and minimizes your poor decision making. Why? Because again, you're keeping yourself fed. You're basically taking that decision out of your hands. If you're anything like me, I mean, I'm frugal as anything with my money. I do not want to waste anything. I will eat whatever is in that fridge until it literally is smelling worse than my feet after a heavy CrossFit session, and I don't want to tell you how that can look. But essentially, you're going to be more implemented into your routine. You're going to be more adherent to the diet, and the fact that it reduces cravings is because if you're meal prepping correctly and properly, you're eating a bunch of whole foods, you're minimizing those sugars. Those blood sugars aren't going to spike. When your boss pulls out the cakes, the muffins, because it's fucking Nancy's birthday, who lives on, who works on floor 2, you're on floor 4, you never know, you've never met Nancy, who the fuck's Nancy, but for some reason there's a slice of birthday cake in front of you, you're gonna be so much less tempted by that. I'm good, I've just had my beef and sweet potato mash, and I'm now having my snack of Greek yogurt with protein powder, and I'm satisfied. That's how it looks. And, with all these things together, it just makes your journey in fitness so much easier. Whether it is the fact that you're trying to lose weight, lose body fat, or whether you're trying to gain lean muscle, because it keeps you more organized, it keeps you more structured, it keeps you more routine. Think of this as like budgeting for your meals. You're setting aside what you need to give yourself your required macros every single day. Just like when you go on holiday, you set aside your budget for what you're going to spend. $500 or £500 on the strip club, £200 on the Stella Artois, £50 for the kids to send them off to the water park whilst you get fucked up, man. I'm only joking, but you see what I mean. Anyway, we're going to go into the next one, the 3 Ps. This is just to help you essentially ingrain that routine. It's almost like a mantra that you're going to chant in your head every time it comes to meal prep. The 3 Ps: plan, prep, portion. Boom. 3 simple steps. Plan. So when you're gonna go shopping, plan your meal prep. What are you gonna cook this week? We'll get to what you can make and what would suit you, but what are you gonna make? I would always recommend pick 3 meals maximum that you're gonna meal prep. And then of course comes the prep itself. Choose a day, choose a time, choose a slot where you can be consistently free. And that doesn't mean every single week, but consistently free. Because then again, it gets into your habit, your routine, your structure. And let's say it is that Sunday afternoon, bam, it's prep time, you get everything done within 2 hours, and you're feeling like a boss come 6 p.m. on Sunday with your cup of tea and your biscuit, and you're ready to rock that week. You're ready to take it on. And then obviously portioning, setting it out into even portions, obviously most applicable to your macros, and therefore it might take a little bit of practice at first to get it right, but again, like anything, practice makes perfect. Maybe that's the 4th P, practice, because you're not going to be perfect from the off. You're going to make some small mistakes within your meal prep. You might, make something and give yourself too much of a portion. You might make something that doesn't keep too well, or it isn't really suitable for where you're going to eat it, and we're going to get to that as well. My top tips. Now, these have literally come out of my kitchen. These are top tips from me, and then I've passed them on to my clients, and this is what they've, essentially used to keep on top of meal prep, and then for get the best results possible with their diet and overall fitness. So the thing is, keep it simple. Unless you're fucking Gordon Ramsay, why try and put together a recipe that contains 20 plus ingredients, equipment that you don't even have, and takes all day to make? Keep it simple. A bolognese, a chili, a curry, a stir fry. Things that are quick, things that you can literally cook off the cuff. if I could show you my, yes, so you might see my pictures of my food and think, God, Tom, you're always eating variety. You're always eating things that are looking extravagant. No, I'm not. I literally recycle, a list of 5 to 10 meals. I might adapt and tweak here and there to make it think, not only you, but me, think that I'm eating something different. But essentially, it's the same damn thing. Cooking bulk, as I said, don't just kind of wait and spend an hour cooking one meal unless you really want to, unless you are like me, who's a bit of a weirdo and, looks at food as much as, Leonardo da Vinci looks at his art, even though my food is not up to Leonardo da Vinci's art standard. But what I'm trying to say is cook it in bulk because it's going to save you time, it's going to save you money. That is the principle of meal prep. Spice it up, man. If any of my clients send me a picture and it literally looks like they have boiled a piece of chicken, the rice is just plain white rice, and they have a single lettuce leaf for their greens, I shout at them. I tell them to go to their room, go back to the kitchen, do something proper, be proud of that plate you put up. Now again, keep it simple, but simplicity to your food doesn't mean boring. Spice it up. Use whatever spices you like. You can get pre-mixed spices even. Marinate your chicken in that. The thing is with spices, they are pretty much 0 calories. So you can flavor your food as much as you want in the way and the style that you want. And this is another top tip. When you're batch cooking, if you're, let's say, oven roasting your chicken breasts, put a couple of barbecue spices on one. The next couple put some tandoori and Indian spices on the other. Then you can use some Chinese spices. Therefore, you're cooking the same food with different flavorings, and it gives you that satisfaction of variety and flavor fatigue. Definitely, you always put to bed through doing that. This leads on to my next point. Subtle changes. Okay, just like you subtly caress your girlfriend's breasts in the evening. I don't know why I see subtle as such a sexual word. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe there's something wrong with me. Maybe it's the fact I'm here all alone, 24/7, and craving a little bit of female attention. But that's my problem and not yours. By subtle changes, I mean let's just use a chili con carne as the base meal. So that's my base meal, a chili con carne. That's the thing that takes most time. How I then add variety and keep things interesting within my meal. The first meal I'll have it with rice, standardized. The next meal I may have it in a wrap, so I can make my own sort of fajita or burrito, whatever you want to call it. The next day I'll have it with sweet potato. So you see what I'm doing here? I'm literally changing up one element of the meal, and it pretty much makes it a completely different meal to me. It's the same with the protein. You might do a stir fry, but you may only stir fry the vegetables, and you may air fry the protein. One day you'll do chicken thigh, the next day you'll do some salmon, the day after that you might do some rump steak. Again, just gives you a little bit of difference without adding too much work to the system. Convenience. Again, make sure it's not a recipe with 20 different items, but this is more in the fact of think about where you're actually going to be eating this meal. Are you going to be taking it to work? Okay, you might have a microwave, but do you really want to stink out the kitchen or spend time microwaving and heating up your food? My best bet, or my best sort of advice for taking food on the go, is something like a wrap, a sandwich. Just pack it with protein, pack it with salad, even like a side salad just to kind of keep your cravings down. Utilize protein snacks, fresh fruit, these sort of things that are easy to transport, they're easy to take anywhere with you. Just get yourself a little lunchbox like, little Timmy in year 5 with an ice pack to keep it cool, and bam, you're in for a winner there. So convenience is always key. And then finally, like you invest probably hundreds and hundreds of pounds in absolutely useless supplements, which are only going to give you maybe a tingling sensation when you take them, or that placebo effect. And this is going to bring me on to another video I'm going to create in the future on how supplements are a big waste of money. But invest in your kitchen. And I don't mean go to, the one in Britain, Wren, and get a £5,000 kitchen in place because you wanted to start meal prepping. It's not what I'm saying. Little investments in your kitchen appliances and items can go a long way. Now, I'm just going to use the one, and I've got no allegiance or no sort of partnership with Ninja, but they have a fantastic range of kitchen appliances. I only have one. Well, I have the original NutriBullet. That's not even the same one. What am I on about, Tom? Maybe I should cut that one out. But I have a Ninja multi-cooker. Now, this thing is great for a single person or duo household. It has 10 different cooking settings, all the way from air fry to roast to slow cook. So I can cook literally anything in there. It's minimal cleanup. And therefore, it just makes the whole process of making food easier. And that's what that's what life's all about. It's making things easier. It's being smart, working smart, not hard. Okay? Doing things where, it's, yes, okay, it might be an original investment of a couple £100, if that, but think about how much money you might even save from not having to turn the oven on. It just makes sense. These little things that make your life easier bring about so much, not even hidden results, obvious results, but we just choose, especially us in Britain, we're tight as fuck with money. We are such tight asses. Oh, well, I've got an oven, so I'm not going to spend a couple of £100 on this multi-cooker that can do everything for me and would make my life a lot easier. No. Come on, man. Stump up the cash. Invest in yourself. Invest in your health. And, be serious about it, man. Boom. And then common mistakes. So this is pretty much the opposite of what I've just said. Too much variety. You're trying to make 7 different meals for 7 different evenings of the week. Come on, man. Keep it simple. If you have no plan, then, of course, you're just going to panic. Panic buy, panic takeaway, panic cook, and a panic cook can look horrific. And therefore, what I mean by that is the meal just isn't enjoyable, and therefore you pretty much say meal prep isn't for me and go back to all your old habits and routines and put on, another £20 and regret life as you sort of lick the grease from the KFC bucket. Yeah, that wasn't me. That was me, maybe. I don't know. But you're not thinking about your lifestyle. What I mean by this is, how is your meal prep going to work for you? Are you taking your food that needs to be heated up on the road where you're not going to have a microwave in sight? That's the only thing I can really think about, though. But you've obviously got to consider those those others who are living in your household. You don't want to be the guy or the dad or the boyfriend, the husband who is eating separately to everyone else and out of his Tupperware like a sad sack of balls. But, if you really want to do that, that's not me. I'm not judging. But just think about your lifestyle. Think about how this will fit into you. Think about the day that you can meal prep, etc., etc. And of course, not enjoying the food or getting bored of it. So like I say, if you're just rotating 3 different meals for weeks and weeks and weeks, you might be super, super disciplined. You literally might be David Goggins level disciplined, but you're going to get bored. You're going to get bored, and then all it will take is one sniff of a blueberry pie, of a Nutella waffle, of, that good succulent fried chicken, and the wheels are off. Binge mode on. I promise you that is going to be the case, because I believe you. No, believe me, sorry. That was me, and I could binge a hell of a lot of food. God knows where I put it. I mean, the toilet didn't thank me the following day. I'll just leave it at that. So that is literally meal prep. I don't want to think it too long, too complicated, because it's not. So 2 things that I'd like you to do from this. Follow me first and foremost. Follow me on Instagram. This is where I post a lot of my short form content. This is where you can actually book in to speak with myself and, maybe work with myself as your one-to-one coach. And I would love the opportunity to at least get to know you and see if we are a good fit. And at the moment, I've actually created a really, really cool quiz, why you're not getting results. The link is in the description, but this is a 7-part quiz. So 7 easy multiple choice questions that will rate your score of your current fitness routine and give you advice on what to do next. So this is me signing off for the weekend. Have a fantastic time. Let's start meal prepping, guys. Peace out.